and really just being on with you today, Coach, I just wanted to tell you this story and share it with the others too, because, just it's amazing how you can impact people in really subtle, nonverbal ways. Coach hired me into the league when I was 28 years old. My oldest child, who is now 21, was 3 months old. I was scared to death. I'm just being honest. My very first day on the job, we have a press conference. My very first day on the job was also Jim Caldwell's. And so Jim and I, we had an opening press conference. Coach, you took us to the press conference. It was in the media room. We did our responsibilities. At the end of the press conference, you asked me to come by your office for something. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember stopping by my office, which was a closet, briefly, and then I go to Coach's office. And just to kind of tee it up, first of all, I got a high level of anxiety about the responsibilities of the job, and was I capable of meeting them? But I also had a high level of anxiety about parenting, because as I mentioned, my oldest child was 3 months old, and how was I going to infuse the awesome challenges of parenting and the awesome challenges and opportunity that I was getting to be in the National Football League? I go back by Coach's office, I hang a left and go into his office, and it's kind of dark in his office, and it's the first time that I met his son, Eric. Man, his son was sitting on the floor playing video games, man, in his office. And Coach was working around him, and he said something like kind of apologizing that, hey, come in, excuse my son, whatever he said. And the whole time, it hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, I got a high level of anxiety about being an NFL coach. I got a high level of anxiety about being a first-time parent. And I walk into this guy's office, the very first time I walk into my new boss's office, a guy who was a walking blueprint for me, and I hadn't even really met him. I knew of him, and he was inspiring to me. But to turn that the corner and hang that left, and to walk into that office and see that, man, that's all I really kind of needed to see. It changed my perspective on the balance component of the challenges that I was about to face. Like, how am I going to balance work and family, being a professional coach and being a dad? That image of his son sitting there playing video games was really all I needed to see, man, and it never left me. It changed my perspective on it. I've always infused the two, because he showed me that in a real nonverbal way. And it's really the impact of it, because that was the first time I walked in his office as an employee. Unbelievable. I was telling Wolf, man, 15, 16 years here, man, because of COVID, it's been several years since we go to Latrobe, for example, for training camp. Man, this will be the first year I've checked into Latrobe without my sons. Man, I'm gonna be sad. Because like, Coach, you gave me that image of it. It's not something that we all have to choose. You know what I mean? To be present at one doesn't necessarily mean to be absent in another space. And I'm just so appreciative of that image, man. And it's just funny how God works, man, that the first time I walked into your office, that's what I saw. Your son in there playing video games. It's just awesome.
That wasn't the plan. He was supposed to be there, and he knew that he could be around any time. But if I'd have known that was going to be the first time, I would have at least had it move out the way so you could normally. But I'll tell you, Mike, where I got that from, and I got that from my first boss, and it was Coach Noel. Coach Noel treated us that way too. Family was the most important thing. And we did something that I think you guys are still doing. We had Saturday practice where you brought your family. And he wanted the kids to know where their dads were. He wanted everybody to get to know the kids. He wanted it to be not, hey, this is football only. This is what we do, but these kids are who we are. And so for the 13 years I was a head coach, I did the same thing. When I got to Indianapolis, Mike, it was a shock to the system because the coach who had been there before me, there were no kids allowed in the building. And I said, well, that is going to change. And people didn't know how to take it at first until my kids kind of came in and tore the place up, and then everybody thought it was going to be okay. But it had to be that way for me. And I remember with my quarterback from the Colts, a guy you might, in Pittsburgh, you might have heard of, a guy named Peyton Manning. Well, this was a little bit weird to him too, because Saturday practices for him, for the first 5 years he was there, he would write down every play that didn't go perfectly, and he'd want to run that again on Saturday just to make sure we had it down pat. And I said, well, we can do that, but it's that's going to take a while, and we're going to have kids running around on the field and that kind of thing. And I can't tell you how many times he came to me during those 6 years and said, I know what you're trying to do. Maybe we can just have the kids in the locker room. I'm trying to throw 60 X hook, and Marvin's got his son under his arm. He's really not running full speed. This isn't going to work. And I was like, trust me, Family Saturday has won a lot of Super Bowls, baby. And so we kind of came to that conclusion that we were going to be okay with it. He fought through it. Well, then, when he goes out to Denver 6 or 7 years later, he now has twins and tells the coach, Coach Fox, who had been in Pittsburgh too, hey, we got to put Family Saturday in. We got to get the kids to know where their dads work. And so it came full circle.